Won't you help to sing these songs?
We are still here at the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture. We're still at Hoopla World Studios, and today is International Day for Women, International Women's Day, and I have Atuanya and Mecca discussing the realities of being a woman in today's society. So, Comrade Emeka, we've talked about passionately about so many examples of harassment of women, both sexual, physical, and in other ways and things like that. So, what factors do you think actually responsible for this? Are there particular factors, maybe in our culture, in the economy, that predispose women to this kind of harassment and injustice?
I can tell you that our culture is part of the factor, because here in Igbo land we believe that a man is the man of the house and a woman should be under the man. It is the same thing with every other culture and religion or what have you. But then what we do not take in as part of the factor that disposes women to suffer is that they are human beings like us. Even though they are under us, we are meant to pamper them, we are meant to care for them, we are meant to cater for them, we are meant to carry them along. They are not meant to be our slaves. They are not meant to be our slaves or what have you. But over there in the Western world, they respect their women very well, very much that they don't joke with them, they carry them along, they bring them even in the politics. You see women holding a lot of governments, parastatal, being the head of so many offices, taking positions that men, ordinarily in Nigeria or in Africa, will be dragging. So over here, we don't want to give them that particular positions like being the governor, being the president, being the Senate president. We want them to remain maybe being just member of the Senate, member of the State House of Assembly, or member of the House of Representatives, Federal House of Representatives. And then, how many of them are there? In the whole of the Senate, we have 109 something Senate members. There's only 4 women.
4 or 3?
3 or 4, I don't know. I think 4 or 3.
Okay.
You go to the other green chambers, you have few of them. In Nigeria, in the whole of Nigeria today, no state has a woman as the governor of any state. Because ordinarily, even me, I don't believe that a woman should be above me. That is the mentality. And that is why they are suffering. But in overseas, they don't see it that way. We are aware that the almighty Britain, UK, United Kingdom, a woman was once their prime minister.
Yes.
And so many other great
Unlikely to be again.
Unlikely
to be again. There now, comrade, do you really think that the Western culture that gives the woman more opportunity in the workplace, do you think that it necessarily is more advantageous for the woman as a woman than our culture that does not give them that much exposure in the workplace?
Yeah, it is more advantageous.
In their interest, more advantageous. You think it's in their interest?
Yes. Yes. The reason is simple. Because some of these women are icons of change. We talk about today being the International Women's Day. In the World Bank, we had one of our own by the name Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who was once president of the World Bank or vice president, I don't know.
Yeah.
And today she is holding Commonwealth.
Yes.
not just because she's a woman, but because what is in her that they saw, they say, yes, you are capable. White men or the Western world, they don't believe in your skin color, they don't believe in your sex.
No,
they
you see, what I'm trying to say is this. I agree that the Western culture gives more opportunities for the women for professional professional enlargement, will I say, and things like that in the workplace and things. But do you think that is more advantageous than the African cultural setting that they are not giving? Which one do you think actually gives more glory, more honor to the woman?
That is what I'm trying to stress.
In our traditional cultural setting, do you see a situation where women get abused as you see in the Western world? Or maybe like in Nigeria, where we are not Anuenu, we are not Adnuana, we are not actually embracing the Western culture of liberalism, and we are not actually embracing our own traditional culture that that kind of puts the woman on a pedestal. So we are neither doing this, nor are we doing that. I think it's the same thing with our political system.
Yeah.
You know, we are neither practicing the American presidential system, nor are we. It's just confusion. So what I'm saying now is, our traditional culture puts the woman on a pedestal and does not expose her. Like the cases we had, people like that woman that was flogged. If she were not working in an office, do you see that kind of situation? Can you think in a traditional setting where a person, whether it's a priest or whatever, will come and flog another person's wife? Can you conceive of that in a traditional setting?
No.
The cases of abuse, you know, sexual harassment, like we've talked about, the alleged case between Apoti and the Senate president. Yeah, yes. Can you conceive of that happening in traditional setting? Say in the northern setting where the woman is separated. You know, can you just fathom that happening? On the traditional Igbo setting, can you think of a situation where the woman will come under? In fact, the entire Igbo history up to 50 years ago, can you just imagine sexual harassment of a woman?
This is a very controversial question, because the difference between the Western world and here, like I just mentioned earlier, is our mentality.
My position is that the Western system, yes, it gives more opportunity for self-expression to the woman, but also exposes the woman,
I understand,
to abuse. Our own cultural norms do not give the woman that much
that's what I'm telling you.
latitude for expression, but it puts the woman on a pedestal as if she were an object of worship that is inviolable.
That's what I'm telling you. If you say the Western world exposes the woman into some certain positions, probably because they are fitting into these positions, and then, but the mentality of them and ours are different, because they know that if, for instance, if a woman is the head of the chief of army staff in Nigeria, can the male colleagues take order from her? When a woman says, stand up, sit down, you begin to say, this woman is controlling me. Or, no. Not necessarily because you want to disobey her, but of course she's a lady, she's a woman. So how can this woman tell me what to do? A woman that urinates. You understand that kind of a thing? So now our mentality is the dichotomy between the Western world and the Africans. We have not understood a lot of things, and that is why we are still finding it difficult to carry our women along in the exposing them in the workplaces, in the parastatals, and in the government. Unlike the Westerners, who knew that if these women are being exposed to these offices, to these positions, now men ordinarily may think that they are not supposed to take orders. They make their laws very strict. They make their constitution very strict, favoring the women. If you go to abroad today, there are countries that when you see a lady and you touch her, you are in trouble. They make these laws to curtail excesses of the male.
But so the question is, do those laws actually, are they effective in curtailing? Do they protect the women?
Of course.
Because we see the women still experiencing all sorts of abuse. Even
You
then.
cannot eradicate it. But we're talking about the percentage. You cannot 100% eradicate abuse. Abuse is everywhere. In the government, in the church, in the market, in the community, is something that is nature, something that has come to stay. But what measures are you putting in place? You have strict measures to curtail it. In schools, when you have boys and girls, and the boy is the level prefect or senior prefect, then other students who are female ones in SS1 and SS2, he flogs them, he abuses them.
Do you think
the school in question should make the school laws such that they don't have power to abuse the younger students? And the younger student, the female ones, will be given orientation. They will be orientated that whenever you face abuse by any of these senior students, come and report. Are you getting the point? So now, our mentality is the yardstick for some of the abuses we are experiencing in this country.
You see, before we come back to here, because you have taken us abroad, can we spend a few minutes abroad before we come home? I'm challenging, I'm talking about the effectiveness of the system.
In the Western world.
Yes, that we kind of law and say, it's a crimes and this gives more opportunity. But statistically, do we find that there is more opportunity for women abroad? You talk about, yes, you can name this person that has become the prime minister of this country, this person that has become prime minister. Is it the norm? How many women, even in that system, actually get to rise to the top? Of course, we hear one or two names. Across the world in the last 30 years, I can easily name most of the women that have reached the top. We talk about Thatcher in England. Talk about I think Germany has had one or two female leaders, and then in India we had Indira Gandhi and one or two other places. Statistically compared to the population of women, do you think that these few indicates that women are actually getting their fair share of these things? I think no.
What we are talking about is, I don't categorically meant...
In the world, we have more women than men.
I don't categorically... I'm not saying that women... Those ones you mentioned are just head of states or president or prime ministers. But to a certain point that I can agree with you in some areas or in all areas you rightly point out. Because I wasn't talking about the negative aspect of it. You understand now? I was talking about women working freely as Elon Musk is today. Even though it's a personal decision, if he says I don't want to get married because of one thing or the other, he has rights to remain celibate. But does not mean that in his own company, that if a woman is more in the right track or in the right mind or sound to become the head of whatever department, that he wouldn't give it to her. He will say, no, I don't want to give this thing. This woman will do this woman. That's what the angle I'm coming out from.
I agree with you.
They don't abuse their women that much than we do.
But I'm saying there is institutional abuse.
You said?
I'm saying there might not be personal abuse of women, might be limited by that system. But there is an institutional systemic abuse of women that is enthroned, as you are reducing the personal abuse of the women, and you are exposing them to institutional and systemic abuse that they have no protection from. You are taking from them what culture gives them, what God gives them, and you are giving them a pseudo opportunity to be what they are not, and which in the end, so maybe the woman now in the workplace might enjoy her being a working class lady, a CEO, for maybe a total of 10 years, and she ends up without a home because the courts are giving her advantage, and the men are losing interest in marrying them. And remember, Elon Musk is not saying that he's going for celibacy. He's rejecting marriage. He didn't say he's becoming celibate. So if he's not becoming celibate, but just decide, and not just Elon Musk, yes, all these other men who have seen Chege from the liberated women and say they won't get married again, and even the ones that are getting married, yes, are changing the way they own property. They are changing the way they own property. So they sign their property to their mother before getting married. Because they know that if you marry the woman today, 5 years down the line, some even a year down the line, they will create a scene for divorce and go with half of what you have. So one, the men are refusing to marry because of that. And then the ones that married, make sure they create systems where the woman will get nothing if there's a divorce. When the woman now engineers the divorce, she finds herself empty-handed. So is he paying the woman? So if the woman actually rises to the top of her bank or whatever she is doing, she gets to the top of it. She stays there for 5 years, and then by the time she has done with her service, she finds herself single, many times without a child in old age. The protection that the home gives, the protection and comfort that having a man and a family gives, she doesn't have it. She doesn't enjoy it. Meanwhile, she is passed around from man to man, as they say, the street is wicked. The street. She begins to, in latter life, she begins to actually experience that. And this time, she will have nobody to blame because nobody is responsible for her. She doesn't have a family. She doesn't have a husband. She doesn't have children. So who protects her? Who fights for her? So those 10 years, 20 years in the corporate world, that she achieves, that liberty she achieves and enjoys for 20 years, which is taken from her at the end of 20 years, by the age of 50, 60, and she lives her life for the next 40 years without help. Is he paying the woman?
But do you think that they are seeing it from this angle you are seeing it?
No, I don't have a problem. I have a problem.
Because they may not be, this is something they are okay with.
Are they okay?
Yes.
So now you are their champion. You are the champion. You are the activist.
I think they are
okay. So you are the activist. So I am really in support of what you are doing. You understand? But I'm saying we should also look at these things. Do you get it? I'm saying that we should also look at the other side of the coin. Ask ourselves. Unfortunately, I'm a person that I like to weigh. I like exams so much. You get me? Emerson said that the unexamined life is not worth living. So if we claim that this thing is beneficial and we never come to a point where we measure, we try to determine exactly how beneficial is this thing. So we just assume. And we think we are getting liberty, opportunity for the women, and robbing them of the institutional protection that the family setting gives to them. And they enjoy in the prime of their life, between the ages of, let me say, 25 and 45, they actually enjoy this.
Yes.
They're in full strength. But when they become vulnerable in later life, there is no shield, there is no net, no social net under them to catch them. And then also, we talk about the case, we're talking about man's inhumanity to women. What about the opposite of it, woman's inhumanity to man?
That's what I'm saying. What we should be talking about is
woman's inhumanity
abuse to
yes.
men.
Women's abuse of
men's abuse.
Yes.
Women abusing men over there. So, but today we are celebrating the
women's
Day. So that is why I'm saying.
Okay, so now we can look at that from another day.
So when we're talking about when men decide to say, okay, now we are being harassed, we are being abused by the women, we can decide to talk about it. But what I'm stressing out these facts is that here in Nigeria, in as much as we talked about our institutions and what have you, but then those institutions that were given rise to in Africa or in Igbo culture, carrying women and marrying them and stuff like that, and all of that, how do we treat them? That's the question. Because
in the traditional setting or in the new culture today that is neither Western.
Yes, that
No,
is the
traditional.
culture, because our tradition, the Igbo tradition, or Igbo marriage rights and what have you, we treat women with love and care. But today, you see, when you marry, you begin to flirt, sleep around with other women and stuff like that. You don't come home, your wife talks, you beat her, stuff like that. You get the point now. And you even subject her. She's married, but she's looking like a woman that is not yet married. You subject them to all kinds and manner of inhuman treatment.
So the question I want...
You don't give her her feeding and what have you. She strives. In fact, statistically, 30 or 40, if not 50% of families today, the women are the breadwinners in Africa or in Nigeria, per se, or maybe
Anytime there's adversity all over the world,
you get a point.
yes, when things are okay, when things are smooth sailing, the men generally are the breadwinners. But when there's adversity, it has been so from the dawn of history.
So
and
now,
it's universal.
So
I agree with your analysis.
now, to them, that's why I said that to them, because you are saying this because you are a black man. They are not complaining.
We're here, we're not talking about
I'm
the
not
white.
saying where they are demonstrating in the street that women are taking their properties. It is because they don't have the street mind like us, like a typical Igbo man. For me now, maybe if I have a property, I may decide to give some with the name of my mother, or some with the name of my brother in case of tomorrow. But over there, they are free. They are free minded.
No, let's come home. Let's
it's
come
all
home.
about.
Let's
So I
come home.
want to come home from.
You see, because what I see now,
I'm returning
what I
from
see
abroad.
now is that the women are brought to as their comrade to argue their case, and I'm now taking it upon myself to be the lawyer for the men folk. So I want to put it to you that men are actually not harassing the women. That it is the. So I want to ask you: to what extent do you think that women are responsible for the evils that is befalling them in the Nigerian and in the African context?
To what extent?
Yes. Do you think that the women are
think
responsible
women
for
are-
their own woes?
I don't think they are holistically responsible for whatever that is happening to them, because ordinarily or naturally, women are they are vulnerable. You get the point? They are just there. So I believe women, their reaction or their actions depends on what you bring on the table. The way you treat
Would you say that in the traditional African context, in the traditional Igbo context, that women were vulnerable?
Yes.
You think so? You think back in the African society, in the Igbo society of 50 years, 100 years ago, you said that women were vulnerable. Vulnerable to what?
I don't know about 50 years or 100 years ago. I'm talking about today.
Yes.
Because 50 years.
That's what I'm saying. They are vulnerable
50 years,
today. They are vulnerable today, just like any animal that is taken from its habitat.
50 years.
When you take a fish out of water, the fish become vulnerable.
You know what I'm trying to say is that you talk about 50 years, 100 years. Our forefathers, our fathers married 5 wives, 3 wives, 2 wives, and they live peacefully. They cohabit in the same area. These people go to farm. These people goes to
Yes.
fishing and what have you.
Yes.
There's no quarrel or much quarrels.
No abuse.
No abuse.
Yes.
So that's why we cannot measure up what has happened 100 years or 50 years to what is happening, because again we go civilization. Are you getting the point? So now there's a book I wrote, Campus Life, and in the page 1 I wrote that civilization is part of the emergence of corruption. when you are trying to know, you are getting more stupid because you may be throwing out or throwing away the roots knowledge or wisdom that you have or you got from your generation, your origin, your whatever. Then you want to study another person's, you want to know his or her own. And that's what happened. Because when we go to school, we study about Aristotle, studied about Socrates, studied about Max Weber, and I got angry to my lecturers. Say, with all due respect, to one of my lecturers, he's a today professor. Why are you telling us about Aristotle? Why are you telling us about Max Weber? Why are you telling us about Socrates? And you told me that these people existed 6,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. None of them are black men. None of them are white Westerners. This is what we are studying in school. And when you studied it finished, come on, you want to behave like them. Today, we see some of our girls fighting for human rights, for their right. Not necessarily because they are soliciting for their human fundamental right as women to live freely without being abused or harassed. But they want to be at the end of affair.
They are not fighting. They are not fighting.
They want to struggle.
They are not fighting for their right to be women.
Yes, they are fighting.
They are fighting for a right
to belong where men
become men.
Are you getting the point? So that is why civilization. That is why I say civilization is a father to corruption. Also a father to what? Development. Depend on how you conceptualize it to be. And that is another fact. That is why we cannot talk about 100 years or 50 years ago when we are living happily, when we have not been attacked.
Corrupted.
Corrupted. The Westerners.
Yes.
What they did to us was an attack.
It was an attack, yes.
They changed our mindset, they changed our history, our culture, and the what have you. Our values, social values.
So I think we are making a point. You see, I thank God, like you have said, that we're having this discussion today, International Women's Day. You see, because I like things that produce results. I'm sure that today now, the discussion we are having in so many other fora, this time discussions are being had. But you find that most of it is just recycling of the same thought that women are being harassed, injustice is being practiced on women. And as long as we continue this narrative, we see that it's not helping the women. This talk last year, this kind of talk last year, has the lot of women improved from last year to today? No. After we've discussed about this idea that the women, are being kind of intimidated, being harassed, and the rest of it. I will want a solution. And today, today is International Women's Day, 8th of March 2025, and I am having this discussion with my brother, comrade Atwanya Emeka, an activist and somebody who has given so much of his time, effort, and resources into trying to create a just society, a society where everybody will be respected, everybody will be appreciated and honored, and everybody will get just recompense for the labor, that they put in. So I thank you, Brother Emeka, for this opportunity to have this discussion with you. But also, I feel that if we are actually going to effect a change, I think we should seriously examine this narrative. Maybe, because you see, the more we are talking about these things, the more the abuse is continuing, the more the harassment is continuing. The harassment is real. So my question is, what is at the root of it? Remember the question I asked was, what do you think are the factors that predispose women to these attacks, to this harassment and think? And my point is that it's in the system. It's in the system. Do you think, let's clarify it this way, do you think that men deliberately go out of their way to harass the woman, to make the woman uncomfortable, say in Nigeria today?
Well, to some extent I can say no, and to some other extent I can say yes. Because why I said no, I'm trying to advise the women today.
Okay, so we've come to advising them.
So they are there.
Yes. And it should be a day. It should be a day when we open their eyes.
Yes, when you look at 50 or 60% of the abuse, for instance, women have presented, some of them are false. Some of them didn't happen the way they presented it.
Oh, that's interesting. You are saying that a lot of the cases of abuse that the women report. Yes.
Not all.
You said up to 60%. I chose not to say. I chose not to give any figure.
So now, if Natasha said that this is why she was abused,
the reason she was denied certain benefits.
Yes.
Yes.
Simply because she was harassed.
Yes.
We were not there. Nobody was there when she was abused, when she was harassed, and they asked her, "What happened? Did Fabio rape you?" She said no. Did he abducted you? I said, okay, you must stay in this room. Today we must, and you escaped. Then what happened? Say because Fabio was, when Fabio built a house, and Fireborn was opening the housewarming, he invited she and the husband, and then he was taking her around the house, and then told her that one day I would like you to come around and spend the time with me. It's not an harassment. It's just a joke. Are you getting the point? So now the lady said, okay, that there are some other
I do not like that you are actually ruling that is not harassment. Are you being chauvinistic? Is it because you're a man? Are you trying to side with the man?
What I'm saying so is that, you know, some of us men will joke. I tell you, jokingly. Who is also a joker, also respond, why not? I'll come.
Okay.
But we are old, no, you can't go joking.
If that was a joke, would you say that it was in good taste?
In good
taste? In good taste. That was a decent, yes.
Of course, I don't know human being. They're human beings just like, and they are not in any official function.
Would you use such a joke on another person's wife?
No, it depends on what Akpabio meant at that point. It could be that you can come around, let's stay together and marry. It could be maybe during his birthday, it could be maybe during, let them hang out, let them, they are colleagues. I get the point. Apart from coming to Akpabio's house, they have been hanging out, they have been going on official and unofficial functions together. They have been best of friends. In fact, they were family friends. So they've been coming.
So he was inviting her to come and play Ludo some convenient time.
That's what I'm saying. That nobody knew what Akpabio meant.
So maybe we should. Maybe
men jokes a lot. So now, why didn't you say all this? All this why? And now you are bringing the case because simply because Akpabio asked you to locate to where you have been assigned to sit.
Wow, that is quite a tour de force, kind of. You know, I wasn't sincerely. I want to say I wasn't prepared for this. For this, I wish we had specifically.
Yes.
You know, right from the get-go, say this is what it's going to be about. But I am surprised, I'm thrilled, and I'm very, very happy that you're here today and that we are discussing these issues today. International Women's Day 2025 edition, March the 8th, Saturday, 2025. So I'm still here at the Kumpla Award Studios of the Center for Research in Igbo History and Culture with my brother and comrade Abduanya Emeka. He has been talking to us about the challenges that women face in this unequal, male-dominated world as things stand today. He's been talking to us about the things that the women should do in order to minimize the impact of this negative society upon them. We are going to conclude with that. We'll just take a summary of that when we come back. Yes. But just before that, can we just take a little time? I'm seeing a billboard right on your head. You know, what I can see, let me see what I see. Omabala Legacy Promoters. Omabala Legacy Promoters. So is this something that a giveaway that was given you, you know, at the program, or does it have more significance?
Since we are now,
Yes, can you tell us
we are
about?
now